Hello, my friends. Today I want to talk to you about something that bedevils many people, and that's networking. Um, a colleague shared with me recently a lovely little expression, and I think it's so valuable for the idea of networking, or really anytime you are on a set or you find yourself in a situation with colleagues or, God willing, people even more experienced than you. And that is mouth closed, ears open. Or as he said, ears open, mouth shut. A little more harsh, but that's okay. You get my drift. Anyway, a lot of people really struggle with marketing and networking because they think of it as like, I've got to go up to somebody and say, oh, hello, Mr. Spielberg, I'm your biggest fan. Please put me in your next movie. And that's not really what it is. It's just having a conversation with people. And let me tell you, it is so tempting when you are with somebody else in this business, especially somebody else who might have more experience than you, or especially someone that you want to impress, to want to talk about what you have done, right? So like, oh, well, I was in Molly Ivins, my one-woman show, and yeah, I was the only one on stage, and blah, 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 blah. And, there's nothing wrong with like being excited about the work that you've had, but you can learn so much by just listening. It is an invaluable education. And one of the things that I have been blessed with, I guess you could call it, is that I'm a lifelong learner. I always loved school, even when I got really tired of school in college and burnt out and was ready to be over with it. I love learning, okay? So I can find something new to learn every day. And in fact, I make it a point of learning something new every single day. And being on set or being at a networking event with somebody who has more experience than you is so just ripe with the opportunity to learn. So I want to give you a couple of suggestions. First of all, if possible, try to talk to these people about something actually besides this business, because sometimes the last thing people want to talk about in their off time is the business some more. And they certainly don't want to be pumped for information, right? But that doesn't mean you can't listen and insinuate yourself into their conversations and just like soak up the knowledge like a little sponge. So same colleague was talking about how he worked on Pirates of the Caribbean years ago, and he ended up at the lunch table with the screenwriters, and he was a budding screenwriter at the time as well, and he just sat there like a little, quiet sponge person and just listen, right? Rather, even though he was really excited and he was, learning to screenwrite and all that stuff too, he didn't get in there and go, hey, I got my big idea and I need you to listen. He just listened to what they had to say, because obviously they were freaking working on Pirates of the Caribbean. They probably knew a thing or two about, say, pacing a film or telling a story or setting up a scene or all those delicious things that screenwriters get to do. Anyway, so that's a perfect example of like mouth shut, ears open. The other thing that you can do is just talk about something totally not related that you can both enjoy. I remember years ago, I worked with an actor who was much more established than me, and had been on several big budget movies and several, he was a recurring role in a network television show. We talked about everything. We talked about his early days in the theater, because he came from the theater just like me. We talked about religion. He was the one who told me that the wise men were really like astrologers or Zoroastrians. I can never remember how to say the word. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. Anyway, but we just would have fantastic conversations about just whatever. And it wasn't like, and I learned a lot from him, mostly just how to be a super nice guy when you are really, really successful. But I just enjoyed talking to him, and we became buddies, for the month that we were working on this film together. And it was never about what can I get from you, or how can I pump you for information, or how can I try to use you to get me something, somehow get me forward. Anyway, and I have found that for me personally, whenever I just treat anybody in the business, regardless, what level I've been at, if I can just treat everybody just like a human being who's worthy of respect, who's worthy to be seen and listened to, then A, I don't get intimidated. B, I certainly don't get diva-ish. And C, I just, we're just all people. We're just all people with the same objective, which is to make something amazing. So anyway, just think about that the next time you go on set or you go into the audition room, right? You can do the same thing with casting directors, right? Virtual or live. Just talk to them like human being people, you know, don't talk to them like they're somebody to be frightened of or somebody who wants you to do poorly or somebody who, you know, isn't on your side, right? Because at the end of the day, we all want to do good work, whether it's in the audition room, on set, on stage, and certainly if we're networking, we just want to have a good time and talk to people and not feel like it's more work, right? Which sometimes it can feel like when somebody's angling to get something from you, or they're pumping you for information, or they're trying to just show off how awesome they think they are. Anyway, I hope this is helpful. Talk about fishing, for example. Go up to Steven Spielberg and say, you know what, have you ever tried fly fishing? It's quite a sport, but it's important to let the fish go afterwards because after all, they're creatures too. Anyway, I'm not saying talk to Steven Spielberg about fishing, but that's just an example of how you can talk to somebody like a human being person and have a much better time for everybody. Anyway, I hope this was helpful to you. Felt a little rambly, but I think you get my point. Anyway, if you liked this video, please feel free to share with a friend. And I always suggest subscribing to my YouTube channel because I like to share just bits of wisdom about the business and craft of acting and things I've learned along the way that sometimes I forget that if you're just starting out, you may not know about this stuff, or maybe you've been at this a really long time and you still didn't know this stuff. Like I said, I'm a lifelong learner. I learn new stuff every day, and I just think it makes life rich and exciting. Also, if you really want all the goodies, I would suggest you subscribe to my email list at my website, sarahgastonnoh.com, because there are some things that I share just about the state of the business. Sometimes I share auditions, sometimes I share new trends, things like that, that I just don't share anywhere else. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and as always, break a leg out there.